Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Corey back again with another video, and in this one I got the Sony Xperia Z3 up against the HTC One A9. Both handsets are great phones, but this video is just to give you guys an idea of what makes these handsets different. Also, the Sony Xperia Z3 was announced and released last year, whereas the HTC One A9 was announced this year and has not yet been released to the market. But I just want to make this video just to compare the specs of both and to show you guys that even though some handset may be more up to date in terms of when the handset was released, the technology put into that handset may not reflect the fact that it's a new and updated phone. So basically we're just gonna go through the specs and just to show you guys, because I actually still think that the Sony Xperia Z3 is a great handset even though it was released last year. So we'll go ahead and kick this off with the weight and size. So the Sony Xperia Z3 weighs approximately 152 grams and it is 7.3 millimeters thick, whereas the HTC One A9 on the other hand weighs approximately 143 grams and is also 7.3 millimeters thick. So there's no difference between them in terms of the thickness. As you guys can see there, not a lot of difference you're going to find between them, but in terms of the overall weight, the Sony weighs nearly 10 grams more than the HTC One A9, but nothing too significant. You won't even realize the difference in terms of weight. I don't anyway. In terms of the build quality, so the HTC One A9, as you guys can see, pretty much is an iPhone 6 design with a Android experience. It's pretty much the same design as an iPhone 6, guys. Like, every aspect of the phone reminds me of an iPhone 6. So in terms of the design, aluminium finish feels very nice in the hand because it's aluminium. Buttons are well laid out, and the design is very nice. It's very clean and everything. But the Sony Xperia Z3, again, this handset was announced and released last year. Build quality for me is better. Why is it better, you ask? It's better because, one, the handset is IP68 certified, meaning it is dust and water resistance over 1.5 meter and 30 minutes. That means you can actually drop your phone in water and not worry about the fact that it may be water damage. You can just pick it up there and then and walk off and just keep it moving. Your phone is okay. If that happened with the HTC One A9, your phone is gone. You're gonna have to replace your phone. So if you think about it in the long run, the Sony Xperia Z5 will save you money when we're talking about the design. In terms of the performance wise, actually let's go on to the display. We've got a 5.2 inch display on the Sony Xperia Z3, which is a 1080p display. That's 1080 by 1920 with a pixel density of 424. It also has a scratch resistance or a shattered proof glass with the triluminous display and the X Reality engine. So if you guys have seen my other Sony Xperia Z5 or Z3 or Z5 compact videos, you should know that the X Reality engine and the triluminous display is what makes the Sony display what they are today. It's an amazing view. It looks very nice, very sharp, very bright. In the other hand, the HTC One A9 features a 5-inch display, which is also a 1080p display, pixel density of 444, so slightly more pixel density here on the HTC One A9, probably just because of the fact that the screen is slightly smaller. It also has the Corning Gorilla Glass 4, which for screen protection as well. So in terms of screen protection, you're definitely covered. So in terms of screen quality, for me, I can't really tell the difference between them. I don't know. I would probably prefer, but to be honest, the screen on this phone is sharp on the HTC One A9, so you won't really find any major difference between the two. Obviously, they have different display technology, but they're both as sharp as each other. Now, in terms of the operating system, the Sony Xperia the Sony Xperia Z3 is currently running on Android 5.1.1 Lollipop. It has 3 gig of RAM, and the Snapdragon 801 processor, whereas the HTC, on the other hand, is running the Snapdragon 617 processor with 2 gig of RAM, but you can also get the 3 gig of RAM variant with 16 gig of internal storage. The Sony Xperia Z3 also has 16 gig of internal storage, but it does have more RAM, and you can add a memory card in both handsets up to 200 gig. The HTC is also running on the latest version of Android, which is Android Marshmallow. That's Android 6.0, one of the first phones to actually run this operating system. And I have to say, it's very snappy, very smooth. Everything responds in the right time, and it's all good in terms of the performance. But for me, I would prefer the Snapdragon 801, because I know that it's slightly more powerful than the Snapdragon 617. But again, it's not going to be anything significant, I would say. But because it's a new handset, I want that, to reflect on the performance side of this phone, and I don't think that it does. I think that they could have went for a better processor. But in terms of the overall handset, it's very nice, it's very snappy, and everything works how it's supposed to work. Now, in terms of the camera, and I have to keep on saying that the Sony Xperia Z3 is an old phone compared to the HTC One A9. So I'm expecting that newness to reflect in every aspect of the phone, not just the design aspect. I want the newness to reflect also in the camera, also in the processor. And I don't think it does, because it's competing with the likes of the Sony Xperia Z3. Now, if we're talking about cameras, the Sony Xperia Z3 has a 20.7 megapixel camera, which records at 1080p and 4K resolution. The HTC One A9 has a 13 megapixel camera, which records at 1080p with optical image stabilization and dual tone flash, but it doesn't record at 4K. Now, again, I'm expecting a new phone to have the up-to-date features, and I think that they could have implemented that into the HTC One A9, and I'm not sure why they didn't. And I think that's going to let it down ever so slightly, because most phones are going to 4K resolutions now. Every phone that's been announced, or most of the high-end phones that's been announced this year, most of them is packing a 4K camera, but the HTC One A9 can't provide that for you. Another aspect that lets down the HTC One A9 is the fact that the battery is very small. The battery is only a 2150 milliamp battery, and it's competing with a phone from 2014 which has a 3100 milliamp battery in the Sony Xperia Z3. But yeah, for me, it doesn't make sense. The one thing that makes it stand out, one of the main new features that you're going to find on the HTC, is the fact that you have that fingerprint scanner right there in the home key, which is very good. It's very useful. But that's one of the main features, one of the main highlighted features. But anyway, guys, that is just a quick specs comparison between the two. As I said, nothing too in depth. I just want to just give you a quick rundown, because a lot of people, make videos and kind of overcomplicate things, and I'm just trying to keep it simple. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the HTC One A9 and also the Sony Xperia Z3. Would you guys still buy yourself a Sony Xperia Z3 over the HTC One A9? Like, I personally would. The amount of stuff that you can do on the Sony Xperia Z3, like, if you're a gamer, this phone is for you. If you're someone who likes to view media, this phone is for you because of that crisp display. You also get like loads of display options when you go into the handset. So if I go into display here, like, you can adjust the image quality. You can enhance the image quality. Right now it's on super vivid mode, and that makes the colors stands out even more when you're watching your programs and stuff like that. You can adjust the brightness, you can adjust the white balance, just little stuff like that. For me, it makes Sony Xperia Z3 still a great handset to have. But as I said, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Which one would you get out of the Sony Xperia Z3 and the HTC One A9? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Ensure to like, it does help me out, and feel free to share it with your friends and family. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.